There's a moment when you realize all the things they said were lies. It's time to open up your eyes, 'cause we were made to fly. We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are. 'Cause we got the fire. Oh, we got the fire. Oh, show the world the impossible is possible. Show the world the impossible is possible. There's a moment when you understand. You don't gotta follow all the plans. It's time to open up your hands.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate everyone who been patient with me. Usually we do our coffee talk the day after the board meeting, and as many of you know, our board meeting was on Thursday, and so we were expecting to have a coffee talk on Friday. However, this month I am out of town currently. I'm in San Diego with a group called School Board Partners. I'm part of a fellowship of school board members from around the country, and we are in conference this weekend in regards to ensuring that school board members across the country have the skills that they need to be successful, and making sure that we govern in excellence and provide the knowledge and resource to make sure that our children have all the skills and things they need to be successful. And so we are currently in San Diego, and it is beautiful. The weather is beautiful. We're at the Hyatt Regency here, and I'm looking out. I can see the water behind me, and just a beautiful place and a beautiful time. And so that is why we have had to delay until Saturday morning. So thank you for being patient with me as we move forward in this particular session of Coffee Talk with Trey. If you are, I see a few people in the chat, which is awesome, and I thank you. Drop a hello, drop a good morning, and if you have any questions as we go along, please make sure I will be perusing the chats as we move forward to make sure that I can get to your questions. So, board meeting. It was awesome, actually. It was a pretty good board meeting, July the 15th. And I'm just going to go over some highlights from the superintendent's report. One of the first things was our education SPLOST for the year of 2020 received a clean performance audit from our auditor. And so, and what happens with this is they measure the performance against a certain set of objectives per state law, and there's 6 objectives. And I believe the guy who presented to us, he actually he talked about the first objective, but there's 6 objectives. And what they do is the school district takes a sampling of contracts. They take a sampling of different things that have happened throughout the course of the year, and they present these samplings to the auditors for testing, and they determine to make sure that things are good and make sure that we are within compliance and things of that nature. And so that's what happened. Good morning, Tony Russell. I appreciate you. And Ms. Tova, you said you're at the Corvette Museum in Kentucky. So I know you're having fun. That is awesome. Thank you. So we got a clean audit for last year, 2020, or for the school year 2020 in regards to our SPLOST. And so we're appreciative for that. The second thing that we discussed was the ARPA fund. And so, and you hear all these acronyms, but it's the American Rescue Plan Act. And we were discussing our portion and how we spent our monies in regards to that, and what is a part of that plan and that federal grant that was given to the Cobb County School District. And one of the big projects that came out of that was our Summer Learning Quest. And we are done with Summer Learning Quest. It was the month of June. And I'm going to tell you, my children attended. I actually went to one of our elementary schools and watched Summer Learning Quest in action. And the kids really enjoyed themselves. They had a wonderful time. A lot of learning, but a lot of fun learning. It wasn't just, paper and pen and all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of interactive learning. And so I'm appreciative for our children having this opportunity over the summer break. So for the month of June, we had 700 teachers to participate in Summer Learning Quest. And so I want to stop there and say thank you to all of our educators, because again, to have 700 teachers say, after the COVID year of teaching, we still know that there's a need to ensure that our children have additional learning opportunities. And so 700 plus teachers came out and supported. And I don't want to just say teachers, I want to just say support team educators, staff, because the buildings do not run with just teachers alone. And so the lunch workers and our custodial staff and our principals and administrators is my son was at Clarkdale Elementary, and Principal Liz Maynard was there every single day. Now, she wasn't a part of Summer Learning Quest. She did not have an active role per se, but her building was being used, and she was there every day just to ensure that everybody had what they need and educators had what they need. And I talked to one of the educators, and she said, we showed up on day one and there was snacks and, orange juice. And then we were like, well, who is this for? And she was like, welcome to Clarkdale, and this is all for you. And so we're always appreciative for the leadership of Dr. Liz Maynard over at Clarkdale Elementary. She is, again, one of my favorites here in Post 3. All of them are my favorites, but she's one of my favorite among the favorites. So. And then we had close to 10,000 students participate in Summer Learning Quest as well. So over 10,000 students, that's maybe approximately a little less than 10% of our student population. But it was awesome that we had this opportunity for that population to come and learn. And of course, as you know, you had to be invited to the in-person opportunity for Summer Learning Quest. And then we also had the digital opportunity for Summer Learning Quest. And so the purpose was to make sure that students that really needed some additional supports had this opportunity, and it was placed before them first. And so we're appreciative for those 10,000 students. Also, there was high school credit recovery, which was really big, and it was a free offering. And we realized as a result of removing the barrier of cost that we saw 10 times as many student participants in trying to make sure that they get those credit recoveries, because the objective is that we want students to graduate, and we want them to graduate on time. Usually when students fail classes, especially when they get to high school, it increases the likeliness that they won't graduate at all. Not that they won't graduate on time. The discouragement and not graduating at all becomes a higher reality. And so we remove that barrier. And I believe next year we're going to look at also seeing if we can remove that same barrier. And so I'll be looking forward to some of those details as we get through the next school year, and the Summer Learning Quest opportunities continue for next summer. One thing I also want to mention is that Summer Learning Quest will also be offered in some capacity throughout the break. So in September, I believe we have a winter break. That's a whole week. And then in February, we have a winter break. So I think that's a fall break and then a winter break in February. We will have some additional learning opportunities during those weeks through Summer Learning or through the Learning Quest. So be on the lookout for that as well. I think that's going to be awesome that we are extending learning through those breaks as well to ensure that children are getting what they need and being supported. And so one of the questions that board member David Banks brought up, I thought it was a great one because it was probably one of the questions that I will be more prone to ask most of the time is how did we track the data? What's the growth for students? You know, they started here and then Summer Learning Quest, we were able to do this. And then now we can track them in August when school starts again so that we can see this progression of learning and closing the academic learning gaps that we currently have. And so I'm looking forward to following up as well in regards to that. And so I appreciate Board Member Banks for making that comment because you can measure success in this way when you have that data that you can collect and see the growth and things of that nature. So I'll be looking forward to also perusing that data in the future. One of the a couple other things that the superintendent mentioned that was really close to home here, especially for those of us in the Mableton community, Principal Michael Bivens. I don't know if many of you remember him. He was the principal of Lindley Middle School many years ago. He actually started off as a parapro and worked his way up and eventually became a principal. And even after retiring, he was one of those principals that would come back and help support other principals throughout the year. And, you know, when they would need different supports and different things, and he supported the district for many years, but he did pass over the last couple months. And so that information was released. And so we are praying for him and his family and also for those of us in the community that had the privilege of working with Mr. Michael Bivens. Also be on the lookout sometime this week, Monday, hopefully by Wednesday, no later than Friday, we will see some updates to our COVID guidance. Typically the updates are released on Thursday. Any type of school updates, we will see that from Parent View and different opportunities. They would release that information through CTLS, but there's probably an opportunity that we're going to probably see some additional guidance from the superintendent prior to the Thursday weekly updates. And these updates will be in regards to the COVID guidance protocol. So be on the lookout. We know that the CDC has released some information, and our superintendent works with Cobb Douglas Public Health. And so that's where he gets a lot of his advisement from, things of that nature, and how they are suggesting and advising that we move forward with our safety protocols for COVID. So be on the lookout sometime this week. I know a lot of you are interested in regards to that, specifically because we have younger children that are not that do not currently have access to the vaccines or any vaccinations at this point. And so we're concerned that, what August is going to look like for those students and educators that will be in those buildings. And so be on the lookout for any updates in regards to that from the superintendent this week. And as we've mentioned before, any of these operational type concerns, those are decisions that are made at the superintendent level. As a board member, as a parent, I get it at the same time that you get it. And so because operations is not the role of the school board, we provide guidance through policies. And so that is our role, to be your policymaker. We approve your budget and things of that nature. But those operational concerns, those are in the hands of the superintendent. So I've gotten a lot of emails in regards to, what the board should do in regards to it and things of that nature. And so I want to make sure that there's clarity. We appreciate the emails. And I also, I like it because I like to gauge the temperature of what the community is saying in regards to different operational things. But that is a decision that is made by the superintendent. And so we appreciate him using his guidance from Cobb Public Douglas Health and hopefully to make the best decisions for our children. Also, Georgia Department of Education, 2021 Title I reward schools. And so I posted this on some of my social media pages in regards to it. But congratulations to Compton Elementary, Garrett Middle School, Lindley 6th Grade Academy, and Powder Springs Elementary School. All four of those schools, and there's more in Cobb County, but these are the ones that are specifically in Post 3. We are so excited for the work that you're doing, that these were Title I reward schools. And so we appreciate that growth because it captures growth over the 3-year period. And so over a 3-year period, these particular schools have seen some tremendous growth with their student populations. And so good luck, good work. And we thank you. We appreciate you, all of the principals at these individual schools. And we have some great principals at these schools. Also, COLA, our Cobb Learning Academy virtual experience, and this is, it came out of our virtual experience from COVID, will start in August. And so we're appreciative for that. It will be elementary, middle, and high school. I believe the elementary offering is a temporary COVID situation, but we will be probably continuing with the middle school and the high school options as part of what we do in education here in Cobb County. And so I want to let you know that that is happening. It was mentioned in our board meeting. And so Dr. Howard actually asked the question in regards to, even after we get these, the COVID update sometime this week, will parents have an opportunity to change and make decisions based on that guidance if they wanted to take their students from the face-to-face model and put them in COLA? And so unfortunately at this time, that window for choice for COLA has already been closed, and it will not be extended. And while we do have a good number of students that may have switched or decided not to use COLA, the numbers of the people who signed up back, I believe it was in April, what happens is we have staff to accommodate that group of students. And so that is why there's not going to be another window opportunity for students to change and switch in and out and things of that nature. But so thank you for those that are following that option for students. All right, let's see. Oh, one of the big things that we discussed was our education SPLOST. As you know, the education SPLOST is our penny tax that is taxed, and the voters of Cobb County vote on it every 5 years or so to ensure that we have access to funds to ensure that we have capital to do our capital projects. This way, the school district doesn't have to take out long-term debt. We do not have to have bond referendums and things of that nature. The SPLOST penny tax is what we've used. This is SPLOST 6 that we'll be voting on in November with a special election, November 2nd. And so we are in SPLOST 5 currently. And if those of you in the Pebblebrook cluster, you know all about SPLOST 5 because the Clay Harmony Leland Elementary Replacement School was built out of these SPLOST funds. Pebblebrook High School, the $50 million investment being made to Pebblebrook currently, the new theater, the new gymnasium, the classroom addition to help us with the overcrowdedness that we currently have at Pebblebrook is being taken care of out of this SPLOST project. So thank you for SPLOST. SPLOST has been a big help. It is how we can supplement making addressing some of these, things that we will need, such as growth in the area. Now we need classroom additions. Hillgrove will be getting, classroom addition. And it's one of our newer high schools, but growth in the area says now we need to add more classrooms. And so because of SPLOST, we now have those opportunities. SPLOST 6 will focus on infrastructure. A large portion of it will be around infrastructure. So those of us that our students are contending with leaking roofs and things of that nature, this SPLOST will come in and help us to make sure that we can take care of those things in a timely manner. So SPLOST 6 will be infrastructure heavy. But some of the projects that we are expecting out of that is a new elementary school in the Mableton or the Southern Cobb community. As you know, Mableton Elementary is currently over capacity. Nickajack is currently over capacity. And so there is a need to have an additional elementary school in the southern portion of the county. And so that is already included in the SPLOST notebook. Also included in the SPLOST notebook for my parents and families over in the Powder Springs community, Tapp Middle School will be getting a refresh, a lot of renovation and a lot of assistance in making sure that that building it meets the needs of the student population and the growth and just bringing it into a 21st century learning environment. And so thank you again. SPLOST is important because it does allow us to address some of these concerns. And so those are some of the big projects that we have coming out of SPLOST in post 3. And so I just want to make sure that we have, we know what we have coming, from Mableton all the way over to Powder Springs. And so we're excited to have those projects listed in the referendum. And so we did approve SPLOST as a Board of Education. We did approve the list and everything, as many of you know, and I've seen your emails. And I actually, we've been on calls and Zoom calls and different things in regards to SPLOST. And while it doesn't meet all of our needs here in South Cobb, it is, like I said, it is the supplementary to those needs. And so we have to work together with our school district to determine how we help to address some of those other needs. But in the interim, this is what's going to help us get the ball rolling in regards to that. Now, there was a special event center and graduation center that was going to be added to the SPLOST notebook. It was in the original list. And after much debate and consideration, the Board of Education voted 6-1 to exclude the career. No, it's not a career. The event center and special graduation center from the list of SPLOST, because one of the main arguments, if you will, is that our school district currently has $2 billion worth of needs, and SPLOST brings in a little less than $1 million, like $900 million dollars in SPLOST. And so with having $2 billion worth of needs and barely meeting 50% of those needs. At this time, it just did not seem feasible to move forward with the event center. And so I'm hoping in the near future, once we get through SPLOST 6 and we start working on SPLOST 7, that may become a consideration. And so I'm excited about some of these good ideas and some of these great plans that we have to move our district forward be ready to be the world-class system that we're known to be. And so that event center did not make it on the list. The amendment was revised, the motion was revised to remove that particular item from the list. And so we will move forward with the other items on the SPLOST list. One, to also include an additional career academy, much like the CETA building that sits close or adjacent to the Osborne campus. There will be a consideration for another career academy or career center, innovation center in the northern portion of the county as well. So that is one of the other good things that came out of this, is having additional opportunities for that. And so hopefully when we start planning for the career academy, because it did take a long time to plan for the one that we currently have at Osborne, that we will use some of the same steps. So we had a study done by the University of Georgia, like a feasibility study and things of that nature, to determine what's going to be the best courses and items to go in that particular school. And so hopefully we'll use that same data decision process to make sure that that's done in excellence as well. All right, infrastructure needs, we talked about that. So awesome. One of the other things is that we're going to have a version of one-to-one, along with the ARPA funds that we're getting from the federal government and with SPLOST. We're looking to have a version of one-to-one, a one-to-one technology district, meaning students will have access to a laptop. They'll have access to technology. And so mainly middle school and high school levels is probably where we're looking at having devices that will follow the student, particularly probably in the high school level, but elementary students will have access as well. And so these are some of the things that we have been looking at in regards to ensuring that we are staying relevant with 21st century learning. Also in our board meeting, Terry Johnson, he is the president of the McEachern Endowment. We approved for McEachern to replace a track that they currently have on the property there for their students. And Terry Johnson came and spoke briefly with the board. And so I want to thank him for coming and speaking with the board. Terry Johnson and Principal Montgomery over at McEachern invited me recently to come and tour the mega campus that is known as McEachern, where we've had our graduations at for the last couple of years, and the work that they're doing to ensure that the students of McEachern have an excellent learning environment is, we really appreciate it, and having access to that resource is really awesome. So thank you again, Terry Johnson, and of course, Principal Montgomery, for the work that you continue to do for the McEachern community. We also received capital outlay project funds. So some projects were closed out from SPLOST 5. And so we received those reimbursements from our state department, Georgia Department of Education. And so those monies are going back into SPLOST 5 to either enhance or, continue moving forward with projects that are currently slated for SPLOST 5. And so we addressed that. Another item on the agenda was Walton's robotics lab. It was already listed in the SPLOST 5 notebook, and so that was approved. As you know, Walton has a world-class robotics lab, and they have been competing in competitions for years. And this is actually a lab that will be utilized for all of Cobb County. So those of you that have robotics clubs and things of that nature, and you need a place where you can build your robots, and they got to have like a certain amount of landing and tracking of different things on how they go through. Those of you in the robotics world, you know what I'm talking about. We have access to the Walton Robotics Lab. So we'll go into construction shortly, which is exciting to see. And so we'll have access to that as a county. I know we have a robotics program at Pebblebrook High School, it's a robotics club, and we were in the Lego competition and won. And so we're excited to have access and opportunities to expand some of those programs countywide. Osborne High School Performing Arts Center, they're going to have their theater will be it's part of SPLOST 5. We considered that and we approved that. It will also have a black box theater, so it's a $13 million project. So their existing theater will become a black box, and so they will be getting a new theater like the other schools. And so Osborne is coming out the ground great. You know, new school, new theater. We'll be looking at the gym and things of that nature. And so Osborne community, excited for the things that are coming your way. Also, our millage rate, 18.9. It will not increase. It's been the same since 2007. And so we did approve to make sure that the millage rate here in Cobb County, our education millage rate, did not increase. And so we're excited about that. Let's see. I believe that is most of the highlights. Oh, reapportionment is what it was called. Board Chair Randy Scamelhorn talked about reapportionment. And reapportionment happens anytime apportionment happens. Census apportionment happens after the census, and so once those numbers are in, and we should get those sometime August, September, we will begin looking at how we will draw the lines. And so we discussed briefly what that process should look like, and we discussed with our chairman on how we should move forward with that process. And looks like working with a demographer to create maps and according to the census data, and then we would present that to our delegation, our Cobb delegation. And so this stuff here is important because it's how you vote for your board members and how those lines are drawn. And so it's oftentimes I'll talk with people who assume they're in post 3 because they go to schools in post 3, but then they find out that they live on this side of the street, which actually is in post 2. And so you vote for Dr. Howard over in post 2. And so, you know, we've had that situation for many years and many people questioning that. And so, so this will happen as far as your voting lines. And so thank you, Jennifer. You asked is this the same as redistricting? No, this is not the same as redistricting. So your voting lines and your attendance lines are 2 different things. And so great question. And that is why we have that confusion sometimes where people assume, well, I go to school here, technically, you know, I should be in post 3. And so it doesn't necessarily work that way. You live here and the voting lines are drawn this way. So you vote here. And so this process is how that happens. All right. Dr. Howard's agenda item was in regards to mathematics and was asking for an overview of how we're doing in math. And so, you know, those of us that have children in school, you know that the math inventory is one of the tools that we use to ensure that our children are progressing and we know where they are in math and can prescribe supports around where they are to make sure that we're seeing that growth. And so the MI was discussed briefly. It was also mentioned by our Chief Leadership Officer, Jennifer Lawson, that there will be a revision in our math standards by the Georgia Department of Education. And so this will be the 4th time in 16 years that we have seen some type of revision to the math standards. And so hopefully this new process and the revisions that will be coming out soon will ensure that our students are, you know, prepared, college and career ready, and that they're able to advance. And, you know, many of us are starting to see that situation when students get in 8th and 9th grade. Algebra 1 seems to be a challenge oftentimes. And so making sure that students are prepared to progress as they move forward with mathematics. And so we will be following up on that. I believe we have another agenda item or a presentation from the superintendent late September of sometime in the latter part of the year to discuss mathematics. Hopefully it will be after the revisions from the State Department, so we are able to see how that ties into what we're currently doing here in Cobb County. So be on the lookout for some updates in regards to our mathematics. Milestone data, 9th grade algebra was discussed, math fluency was addressed, particularly in the early grades by third grade. And so, but overall, our best practices and what we do in Cobb County won't change. Having mastery of strategy and things of that nature, and being fluent at the same time. Those things will probably continue here in Cobb County as we move forward. All right, let's jump forward to our public commenters. In the work session, we had 7 people, and this is the first time that we used our online sign up. So Wednesday, before the board meeting at 7 p.m., you can go online to the Cobb County School District website and you can sign up for public comment. And so we had a couple people to do that for the day session. And our first person was Mr. Alexander Judge. Now, Mr. Judge is a 9-year-old who comes and speaks before the board. And he didn't come to the day session, and probably because this is the first time we use that online process, we realized that Alexander did show up for the night session. So, just probably some confusion in how we're going to make sure that it is clear that that you know what session you're signing up for and things of that nature, because we did have a couple people that did not show up in both sessions. And so as we are working through this new process, be patient with us, and we will work through that as well. So Alexander, he's 11. I'm sorry. Thank you, Jennifer. Alexander Judge is 11 years old. He brought tears to my eyes when he was presenting. And so we're going to definitely look at this online, how it's being disseminated to us, so that there is no confusion as to, am I signing up for the work session early in the day, or am I signing up for the 7 p.m. Voting session? And so knowing that difference, we'll work through some of those challenges as this, again, is our first month trying it. So, but Miss Natalie Rutledge, she came, and Natalie Rutledge is she's the visionary behind the Cobb Marietta chapter of the Communities in Schools of Georgia. And so she is our executive director there, and she supports many of our schools, our elementary and our middle and our high schools in around Cobb County, and provides supports and scaffolding for those students. She came and spoke to the Board of Education. She gave us her 2020 annual report, and it talked about, even in the midst of COVID, there was a lot of great things happening on how we were supporting students and how Communities in Schools, our partnership with Communities in Schools, was working to ensure that we are getting students to graduation. And she gave that report. It was good to see her and hear from her in regards to that partnership that we have with Communities in Schools of Georgia with our Marietta Cobb County chapter. So she came and spoke. Thank you, Natalie, for that, and gave updates. And then we had Mr. Richard Knapp, and he was showing support for the Walton High School Robotics Lab, which we did approve in our voting session. And then we also had Lou Saunders, who talked about critical race theory, the pros and cons. Jenny Peterson did not show up. I believe she may have been in the other session. Tammy Andrus, good friend of mine. Tammy is the president of the East Cobb Council, East Cobb County Council of PTAs. The ECCC is what we affectionately call them over in East Cobb, and she's the council president this year. And we've worked together for many, many years, as you know, serving as a council president of South Cobb of the South Cobb County PTA for many years. That is my that was our East Cobb counterpart. And so she came and she spoke in regards to all of the great things happening in PTA world, even in the midst of COVID. The East Cobb County Council received many, many awards during our summer session that we just had. Had 4 schools that were outstanding local units, elementary and high schools. We've had 3 schools that were National PTA, National School of Excellence in the East Cobb County Council. We had, and one of our principals, Dr. Chris Ritchie of Lassiter High School, was awarded Outstanding Principal. We also received the Bernie Butler Outstanding Educator Award that went to Miss Molly Henson at Davis Elementary. And we also received the Hearst Family School Partnership Award. That was Mountain View. And that was for standard number 3, supporting student success. And we had 3 model PTAs And we also had 2 schools that received their Visionary Award in the East Cobb County Council. So great job, Tammy Andrus. Great job, East Cobb County Schools. We appreciate all the work of for those PTAs and ensuring that, again, every child's dream becomes a reality as a result of the work that we're doing with our parent-teacher student organizations here in Cobb County. And so Tammy came and she gave that update to the Board of Education. And also Heather Tolley Bauer, she's with WTF Cobb, that's Watching the Funds Cobb. And she could discuss fiscal responsibility and oversight in the upcoming school year. Again, she recommended on behalf of her organization to keep the millage at 18.9, which we did do. We did approve that. And also in regards to the ARPA grant that we were talking about earlier from the federal government, that she was requesting that we provide detailed account on how those funds are spent. And so that was the day session. Night session, we had all 15 slots filled. And so Ms. Carolyn Hoko, who is a regular to our public commenters, came and spoke in regards to school safety. And so again, as I mentioned, the superintendent said there will be some revised guidance that will be updated guidance that will be coming out in the next coming week. So we'll see that. Ms. Tammy O'Banion, and please excuse me if I mess up your names. That is not my intention. She came and she spoke in regards to interested in the miscellaneous revenue grants. We had Karen Sonderman. She came to talk about mask and making sure that it stayed optional, and also no indoctrination in schools. And so she mentioned Brain Pop. And so I'm doing a little research on Brain Pop and how that tied into that. Tova Ringland, special education. Ms. Tova, we appreciate you being with us even today. She came, she's an advocate for special needs. She has a son with special needs. And just making sure that we are providing the best care for those students that have challenges and disabilities. And as a parent also of students with disabilities, I understand the passion and the advocacy and what that takes. And she also services our special, some of our students with special needs as well. And so thank you, Tova, again, for your advocacy, not just for your son, but for all of our children here in Cobb County. We appreciate you for that. Ms. Laura Judge came asking, she was talking in regards to masking and DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. Ms. Kimberly Roberto, she came to speak in regards to critical race theory again, Brain Pop. I think his second step was the other program that she mentioned. And so, but I'm gonna go back and listen to make sure I wrote this down because I want to review some of the things that we were talking about. Mr. John Hanson, oh, no. That was one of the persons that didn't make it. Rhonda Knapp wanted to show her support for the new Walton Robotics Lab. Again, we did approve that. And so we're excited to see that. And then we have Mindy Seeger. Mindy Seeger, she came to, let's see. Oh, Mindy Seeger, yes, she actually was the one that over the summer, over in the springtime, she did the bus. We had like we got together and we were doing a not really it was a fundraiser too, but we were getting supplies together for our bus drivers to make sure that they had the supplies they need to be safe on the bus, masks and cleaning supplies and things of that nature. She actually put that together for us over the spring, and she came and spoke. And so we're excited about the work that she did there, but she came to talk about COVID protocols for the next coming school year, specifically around elementary age students not eligible for vaccination. And so she said she would email us some documentation. Thank you, Heather. Yes, we got that SPLOST amendment passed. So we're excited about that. We are appreciative for that, for getting that particular work done. So, and thank you for joining us, Heather. And thank you for your advocacy as you come to the board monthly and making sure that we are watching the funds. And so I appreciate that as well. Then there is, I'm not going to mess this name up, but Rahish, I'm not going to attempt. But thank you for coming, support of Walton's Robotics. And I'm excited that we're able to provide that for you guys and make sure that that opportunity continues to be available. Ms. Maya, she came to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. We had Rose Carroll, the Mass Choice, and Rose is a 9-year-old student. And I think she said she had autism, and she was thankful for the option of having the mass made optional so that she could also participate in school last semester. And so she came. Thank you. I love when our children come and speak. It does something to me. Justin Julian, effective communication and guidance was what Justin wanted to talk about. And then again, my friend, Mr. Alexander Judge, 11-year-old, and I do have 11 here. He talked about diversity in school, and he said it's important for him to make sure that we're being taught the truth. And one of the things he talked about was Juneteenth and celebrating 4th of July as well. And you know, Juneteenth is a new holiday, and it's going to be interesting how we talk about Juneteenth and how we got to Juneteenth and still celebrate the 4th of July at the same time as a country. And I think we will do a good job in making sure that we can explain that to our children, as we have been doing about everything else in regards to history. And so thank you, Mr. Alexander, for always coming, Master Alexander. And then Jenny Peterson, she came about talking about teaching history, and her 7th grade son also spoke with her. And again, he was advocating for the full truth of history to be taught. So we thank you, Miss Jenny Peterson, and your son as well. And that was all of our all of the people who came to discuss before the Board of Education. And so we thank you for your public comment and taking your time out to come and speak to us. And again, all the emails. It is important because as Ms. Toller was saying in regards to that amendment on the SPLOST, you know, those decisions are made when we receive feedback from the community. In regards to the event center, and while we all see value in it and we think that it will be an excellent opportunity to move forward in the future, we just did not get any feedback saying that it was a must-have and that the community was supporting it, specifically because SPLOST is something that the community votes on. And so we want to make sure that we present something before you that will pass because we need those resources to continue to move forward as a district without having to carry all that that debt. And so that was it. So highlights, make sure that we are looking for those revised guidance for how we're going to move forward with safety protocols for COVID. Please make sure this week, whatever your notifications are set to for Parent View, CTLS, however you get your notification from the district, make sure that they are set so that you will know what the guidance is. School starts shortly, in a couple weeks. So we want to make sure that we are prepared to, when we're sending our students back into the building, that we manage our expectations accordingly based on that guidance that is given, and that we are following what our superintendent has outlined for us. So please, please, please make sure that we are looking into that. And all right, do we have any questions? Thank you guys who have been in here commenting and different things. Do you have any questions in particular in regards to anything that we discussed? Because, you know, shortly, actually, in the next 3 minutes, I have to be downstairs to go back to my school board partners, colleagues, and we will be in sessions all day today. And I think we're going to the beach later on today. I'm not bragging. I'm just giving you the agenda that we will be participating at the beach and doing some things. I think we actually have yoga at 8 o'clock. So I'll be going downstairs and participating in our 8 o'clock yoga classes, 8 o'clock here in San Diego. And so any other questions? If not, I need to go put on some yoga clothes. All right. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you who took your time out of your Saturday morning to participate and to join me here for our update and debrief of Coffee Talk with Trey. We will continue to do this every single month as promised. Again, thank you for being flexible with me as I was traveling all day yesterday and did not have an opportunity to set up and get this session going. But thank you again. Thank you for the support as you've always done. And I look forward to talking with you. And again, you can always email me. You can always text and call me as well. And we can discuss anything. And you have anything that you need to get worked through, please reach out. We can do that as well. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye-bye.